It is the first full week of May here, and on this beautiful morning, we are doing nature journaling, and I decided to film it and bring you along. It is a bit chilly this morning, and my children don't always wear weather-appropriate clothing, so my 7-year-old daughter was out with us, but then back in the house again before I started filming. My son and I are heading down to a grove of black locust trees that he loves. And you can't see her, but the baby is on my back. We spent some time observing the black locusts. These somewhat young trees, we noticed, have thorns all over them. That's one of the reasons my son likes them. And we found buds, but they were all at the very ends of the branches, so they probably just grow on new wood. My son decided to collect some thorns to bring inside so he could more accurately draw them in his nature journal. Back inside the house, we have covered the table with resource books, our nature journals, and the baby is in her chair, and I am attempting to occupy her for this time with some puffs and some books. It works moderately well. My children each identified something they saw outside that they want to learn more about and nature journal about, and I did as well. So we're going to start with dandelions and then black locusts for my son. And I chose to learn a little bit more about groundhogs because we discovered we have one that has dug a den under a corner of our garage, and we actually see him or her out eating throughout the day. So I thought we could take this opportunity to learn more about that. The first book that I turned to is The Handbook of Nature Study by Anna Botsford Comstock. And this is actually pretty dense. So I find the topic we're looking for in the index in the back, and it has some things, but it doesn't have everything. So for example, today it does have a good section on dandelion, but I could not find one on black locust trees. I believe she was British, so these are going to focus on things that are native to Britain. So you might want a different resource if you're in a completely different part of the world. There's enough overlap for us here on the eastern coast of the United States. So I start with this, but I wouldn't recommend just reading it straight to your elementary aged kids. I actually like to skim it myself and kind of paraphrase it, or just give them the relevant information, as it is really dense and there's some information in there that might not be relevant to them in their studies. Now we have our nature journals out. I will link below what books we use for our nature journals. And I'm on my laptop looking at some more resources for dandelions. So we did herb fairies, and dandelion is actually the 13th and final herb fairy in the series. And so I am pulling up the Herbal Roots e-zine that came along with our herb fairy subscription on dandelion. And I'm going to read to them some about that while they draw their dandelions. And we'll continue discussing them. This also led to us pulling out our Herbal Adventures book and reading the chapter on dandelions in there. This is another book I highly recommend. And my daughter asked if I could also read the story about dandelions in the Herbal Roots e-zine. And I did that while they continued coloring in their nature journals. After spending a good amount of time on dandelions, I used my laptop to look up more information on black locust trees and then groundhogs, and I shared this information with my children as I found it. They continued to draw in their nature journals. My son did dandelions and black locusts, and my daughter did dandelions and groundhogs. I have my own nature journal, and while my daughter was finishing up her drawings, I took a few minutes to just write some notes on what I saw outside and then just do a few quick sketches. Once my children have finished their drawings, I have them tell me what to label and I label it for them. I do require them to do this because I want it to be less of just an art book and more of an observation of what we see outside. So if they have to label something as to what it is, that helps it be more observational. I also asked my 7-year-old to tell me 2 facts for each of the things she drew. So she did a page on dandelions and a page on groundhogs, and she gave me 2 facts on each, which I wrote down for her on those pages. After a little bit of a break, snacks, and a diaper change, we are back for our second part of nature journaling today. Honestly, I don't often do both of these things in one day. We just hadn't done nature journaling at all in a while, and I really wanted to get to both. So here it is. We are doing the colors of the month. So we look outside or spend some time outside. And then with our watercolors, we're just going to do swatches of color that represent what we see outside. And the kids also have an option, although it's not required of them, to paint something that they've seen outside or something that represents this month to them. I like to do that in my journal as well. I'm actually starting here with using watercolors to paint the sketches I did earlier, and then I will come back to my month page as well.